The world you see is a reflection of your inner state, a projection of the consciousness you hold. If you desire wealth, then wealth must first exist within you. It is not found in fleeting pleasures or the accumulation of things that drain your resources, but in the understanding that every dollar is a seed, and the way you plant that seed determines the harvest you shall reap. Many believe that money is simply a means of acquiring comfort, of indulging in the momentary pleasures that bring no return. They spend and consume, never realizing that what they hold in their hands is potential. Potential that can grow, multiply, and transform their reality. The careless spender trades his future for temporary satisfaction, while the wise one directs his money into that which brings increase. An asset is not merely a material possession. It is a force that works for you even when you sleep. It is a wellspring that flows continuously, multiplying itself, creating more and more opportunities. A liability, however, is a silent thief, taking without giving, depleting your wealth while offering nothing in return. One who understands this difference commands his financial world with intention, never squandering his power on that which fades. To choose wealth is to discipline the mind, to see beyond the illusion of immediate gratification. The individual who truly understands how reality unfolds does not merely wish for abundance, he embodies it. He moves with certainty, directing his resources where they will grow, where they will expand beyond his own efforts. He does not chase wealth, he aligns with it. And by aligning, he draws it forth from the unseen into the seen. Every dollar spent is a declaration of belief. If you scatter your money on that which diminishes, you affirm a world of lack, a world where wealth slips through your fingers like sand. But if you invest in assets, things that build, that create, that generate more, you are speaking a different language to the universe. You are declaring, I am wealthy. I understand the laws that govern abundance. And as surely as the sun rises, what you affirm will be made manifest in your life. The path to financial freedom is not found in external conditions, nor in waiting for the right opportunity to appear. It is found in the understanding that wealth is a state of being, a frequency that you must dwell in. When you move as one who possesses, when you direct your resources toward growth, when you refuse to squander your power on that which takes rather than gives, you have already stepped into the reality of wealth. And once you step into that reality, the world must conform. The foundation of wealth is not found in the material world, nor is it dependent on external conditions. It is a state of being, a vibration that emanates from within. Before money can accumulate in your hands, the consciousness of abundance must first take root in your mind. Everything in your life, including your financial situation, is a projection of your internal beliefs. You do not attract wealth by simply wishing for it. You align with it by embodying the awareness of prosperity. Many believe that wealth is something that happens to them, that it is a matter of luck, opportunity, or circumstances beyond their control. They observe the world outside of them and believe that their financial situation is dictated by the job they have, the economy, or the amount of money currently in their possession. But this is an illusion. Wealth does not come from external sources. It emerges from the state of consciousness that one holds. To truly understand this, one must see that the outer world is nothing more than a mirror. If you look into a mirror and frown, the reflection will not smile back at you. In the same way, if your dominant state is one of lack, uncertainty, or fear about money, then the world will reflect that back to you. You may work harder, strive more, and chase after financial success. But if your inner state remains one of scarcity, your results will continue to confirm that belief. The key to wealth is not found in the pursuit of money, but in the embodiment of abundance. One who understands this principle does not wait for money to arrive before feeling wealthy. Instead, they first cultivate the feeling of prosperity within. They do not say, I will feel secure once I have more money. They say, I feel secure now, and therefore wealth flows to me effortlessly. This is not mere positive thinking. It is an unwavering alignment with the truth that consciousness creates reality. Consider those who suddenly come into large sums of money. whether through inheritance, lottery winnings, or unexpected financial gain. If they have not cultivated a consciousness of wealth, that money often disappears as quickly as it arrived. The reason is simple. They may have received money, but they never developed the mindset to hold and multiply it. The external change did not shift their inner state, so the outer conditions returned to match their habitual vibration of lack. Likewise, there are those who seem to always prosper, no matter what circumstances arise. Even if they lose everything, they rebuild quickly and effortlessly. This is because their wealth is not dependent on the numbers in their bank account. It is rooted in their state of being. They carry within them the belief that they are abundant, that they are always provided for, and that money is a natural extension of their existence. And because the world must conform to the consciousness they hold, they continuously attract prosperity in all its forms. The mistake most people make is believing that they must first acquire wealth in order to feel abundant. They focus on working harder, saving more, and striving for financial success without first addressing their inner world. They approach wealth with an energy of desperation, believing that once they reach a certain financial milestone, they will finally feel secure. But this is an endless chase, for one who operates from lack will always feel as though there is never enough. The shift happens when you stop seeing money as something separate from you, something you must struggle for, and instead recognize that it is simply a reflection of your inner beliefs. When you internalize the idea that wealth is your natural state, that abundance is always flowing toward you, you begin to see evidence of it everywhere. You no longer feel anxious about money because you know that it is always available to you. You do not hesitate to invest in assets that will multiply your resources because you trust in the flow of prosperity. Some may question, how can I feel wealthy when my bank account says otherwise? The answer is found in the realization that the physical world is merely a delayed reflection of your past beliefs. What you see today is a result of your previous state of consciousness. If you wish to change your financial reality, you must first change the way you see yourself. You must assume the identity of a wealthy person, not by spending recklessly or pretending to be something you are not, but by cultivating the thoughts, feelings, and habits of one who is already abundant. A wealthy person does not dwell on thoughts of scarcity. They do not speak words of lack, nor do they entertain beliefs that money is difficult to obtain. Instead, they move with certainty, knowing that wealth is a natural part of their experience. They act with confidence, make financial decisions from a place of trust, and recognize that every dollar they receive is simply a tool for further expansion. Begin by shifting the way you think about money. Instead of seeing it as something you must work tirelessly for, see it as something that is drawn to you effortlessly. Replace thoughts of, I can't afford this, with, money flows to me in expected and unexpected ways. Instead of feeling stressed about your finances, cultivate gratitude for the wealth that already exists in your life. Even if your current financial situation is not where you want it to be, acknowledge the abundance around you. Food, shelter, opportunities, skills, and the ability to create more. What you appreciate expands, and by focusing on what you have, you invite more into your experience. Visualize yourself as a person who is financially free. Feel the security, the ease, and the confidence that comes with having more than enough. See yourself making wise investments, watching your assets grow, and living in a state of financial peace. Do not just think about wealth, feel it as though it is already yours. For in the unseen, it already is. As you hold this new consciousness, your external reality will begin to shift. Ideas will come, opportunities will appear, and circumstances will align in ways you never expected. But it all begins with the inner work. The outer world is only an echo of the inner state. If you wish to change what you see, you must first change what you believe. And when you do, wealth will not be something you chase, it will be something you simply are. Money is not just paper, numbers on a screen, or something to exchange for goods and services. It is a seed, a living force that holds within it the potential to grow, multiply, and expand. Every dollar you receive carries energy, and how you use it determines whether it becomes a source of prosperity or disappears without return. Those who understand this principle treat money with respect, directing it toward things that will yield increase rather than depletion. Imagine a farmer who receives a bag of seeds. He has two choices. He can grind them into flour, bake bread, and enjoy a temporary meal, or he can plant them in the ground, knowing that with time, care, and patience, they will grow into a harvest that will feed him indefinitely. The one who chooses immediate gratification enjoys a fleeting moment of satisfaction, but is left with nothing once the bread is eaten. The one who plants the seeds, however, experiences abundance, as each seed multiplies and produces even more. This is the difference between spending money carelessly and investing it wisely. When you receive money, whether large or small, the way you use it determines what it will become. If you spend it on things that bring no return, it disappears. If you use it to acquire assets, things that produce more value, that generate additional income, that appreciate over time, it continues to work for you. Money placed in the right hands, in the right places, and with the right intention transforms into wealth. But money spent without thought leaves nothing behind but emptiness. Some believe that only those who already have wealth can invest in assets, that they must first reach a certain level of financial success before they can begin to grow their money. But this is a misunderstanding of how wealth is built. Even the smallest amounts, when directed wisely, have the potential to expand. It is not about the amount of money you have, but about the way you use what you do have. The one who sees each dollar as a seed will find ways to plant it, no matter how small the beginning. The key is to shift your perception of money from something to be spent to something to be cultivated. Instead of thinking in terms of what money can buy, think in terms of what money can create. Instead of asking, what can I afford right now? Ask, how can I make this money work for me? This shift in perspective changes everything. It moves you from a cycle of consumption to a cycle of growth, from temporary satisfaction to long-term abundance. Many people spend money on things that hold no real value: expensive clothing, the latest gadgets, luxury items that provide momentary pleasure but do not contribute to financial growth. These are liabilities. Things that lose value over time, things that require more spending to maintain, but never give anything in return. The one who understands wealth, however, seeks assets, things that appreciate, things that bring in more money, things that create opportunities for financial expansion. An asset may be an investment that generates passive income, a business that continues to grow, a property that increases in value, or a skill that enhances earning potential. It may be knowledge that leads to greater opportunities, relationships that open doors, or a mindset that attracts wealth. Every choice made with money is either a step toward financial freedom or a step toward financial limitation. Those who build wealth choose wisely, directing their resources toward that which will bring an increase rather than a loss. The difference between wealth and financial struggle is not found in income alone. There are those who earn little but grow their money wisely, and there are those who earn much but lose it just as quickly. The deciding factor is not how much money flows into your life, but what you do with what you receive. Those who see money as a seed ensure that it is planted in a way that will multiply rather than be consumed without a return. This is why the mindset of abundance is so important. If one believes that money must be spent the moment it is received, they will always be in a cycle of earning and spending, never allowing their money to grow. But if one sees money as something that can be nurtured and expanded, they will begin to use it differently. They will prioritize investments over expenses, long-term growth over short-term pleasure, and financial freedom over fleeting indulgence. To shift into this way of thinking, one must first observe their own patterns. Ask yourself, when I receive money, where does it go? Does it disappear into things that bring no return, or is it placed into opportunities that will generate more? Do I see money as something to be used up or something to be grown? Am I moving toward financial expansion, or am I trapped in a cycle of consumption? As you begin to see money as a seed, you will make different choices. You will no longer be tempted by things that provide only momentary pleasure. You will begin to seek out opportunities that allow your money to work for you, to multiply, to expand. You will no longer see yourself as someone who simply spends money, but as someone who directs it with wisdom, ensuring that it continues to bring value long after it has left your hands. The moment you change your relationship with money, money itself begins to change in your life. When you honor it, respect it, and use it with intention, it begins to work in your favor. Wealth does not come from luck, chance, or external circumstances. It comes from the understanding that money is energy, that it holds within it the potential to grow, and that when used wisely, it becomes a force that moves you toward financial freedom. The choice is always yours. Every dollar you hold is either a seed planted for the future or a resource consumed in the present. One path leads to abundance, the other to limitation. Those who understand this principle build wealth effortlessly, allowing their money to work for them, to multiply, to create opportunities beyond what they could achieve through effort alone. And as they continue to plant wisely, their financial reality transforms not by chance, but by the natural law of increase. Money is not merely a tool for survival. It is a reflection of the choices you make, the beliefs you hold, and the direction in which you focus your energy. The difference between those who struggle financially and those who prosper is not just a matter of how much they earn, but how they use what they receive. There is a fundamental principle that governs financial success, and it is this: money must flow toward expansion, not depletion. The way you allocate your money determines whether it will work for you or leave you in a cycle of lack. Those who do not understand this principle see money as something that must be spent the moment it arrives. They see an increase in income as an opportunity to upgrade their lifestyle, to acquire more liabilities, to indulge in pleasures that offer no return. But this mindset ensures that no matter how much money they make, it will never be enough. The more they earn, the more they spend, and so they remain in the same financial position year after year. They do not realize that true wealth is not about what you spend, but about what you keep and how you use it to create more. The wealthy do not treat money in this way. They understand that money must be directed toward things that generate more income, not toward things that merely consume it. They recognize that a large house, an expensive car, or designer clothing may create the illusion of wealth, but in reality these are liabilities. They require maintenance, depreciation, and continuous spending. They do not contribute to financial growth, they only drain resources. And so, the wealthy avoid using their money for things that do not serve them in the long term. Instead, they direct their financial energy toward things that create more value, that provide returns, that continue to work even when they are not actively earning. Imagine a river that flows freely, nourishing the land as it moves. If that river is blocked, if the water is misdirected or wasted, the land becomes barren and life begins to fade. But if the river is guided, if it is channeled toward fertile ground, it creates abundance, allowing growth, expansion, and prosperity. Money operates in the same way. If it is scattered aimlessly, if it is poured into things that do not generate a return, it disappears, leaving nothing behind. But if it is directed with purpose, if it is placed where it can multiply, it creates a cycle of wealth that continues to expand. There is a misconception that one must already be wealthy to invest in assets, but this is not true. The process of building wealth does not begin with a large sum of money. It begins with a decision to allocate money wisely. It begins with small intentional choices that over time create a foundation for financial growth. Even those who earn modest incomes can begin the process of directing their money toward things that increase in value rather than things that merely consume resources. The challenge for many is that they are conditioned to see money as something to be spent rather than something to be cultivated. They have been taught to equate wealth with visible displays of luxury, with external symbols of success. But true wealth is not about how much you spend. It is about how much you keep and how effectively you use what you keep. The wealthy understand that money is a tool that must be directed toward expansion, not depletion. And so instead of spending on things that provide only temporary pleasure, they focus on acquiring assets that generate income, that appreciate in value, that contribute to financial security. Consider the difference between two individuals who receive the same income. One uses their money to buy a new car, upgrading to a model that depreciates the moment it is driven off the lot. The other takes that same money and invests in an asset, perhaps a property, a business, or a financial instrument that generates passive income. Over time, the first individual realizes that their car has lost value, that it requires maintenance, that it is a financial drain rather than an asset. The second individual, however, watches as their investment grows, as it generates additional income, as it creates opportunities for even greater financial expansion. The same amount of money was received, but the way it was used determined whether it led to wealth or to limitation. This principle applies to every financial decision. When money flows into your life, you have a choice. Will you use it to create more, or will you allow it to disappear into things that offer no return? Will you direct it toward expansion, or will you let it be consumed by liabilities? The answer to these questions determines whether you move toward financial freedom or remain in a cycle of financial struggle. Those who embody this principle do not find themselves in cycles of financial struggle. They do not experience the stress of living paycheck to paycheck, nor do they feel trapped by financial obligations that drain their resources. They have created a financial foundation that supports them, that works for them, that grows independently of their effort. And this is not a matter of luck or chance. It is the natural result of directing money toward things that increase in value rather than things that diminish it. The process begins with awareness. It begins with the recognition that every dollar holds potential, that every financial decision carries weight. It requires an honest assessment of where money is currently being directed and a willingness to shift toward choices that create expansion rather than depletion. It requires breaking free from the illusion that spending equals wealth and embracing the reality that true financial security comes from the ability to make money work for you. Once this shift occurs, everything changes. Money is no longer a source of stress or limitation. It becomes a source of opportunity. It begins to flow in ways that support rather than hinder. It creates a sense of financial ease rather than anxiety. And as wealth grows, so does the ability to make even greater choices, to expand even further, to create an existence that is not bound by financial struggle, but supported by financial abundance. This is not a secret known only to a select few. It is a principle available to anyone willing to apply it. It does not require vast amounts of money to begin, only the decision to direct money wisely. It is not reserved for those who are already wealthy. It is the very principle by which wealth is created. And once it is understood and implemented, it becomes the foundation upon which financial freedom is built. Those who recognize this truth do not fear financial instability, for they have created a system in which money serves them rather than controls them. They do not waste resources on things that do not contribute to their growth. They do not allow their money to be consumed by liabilities. Instead, they cultivate it, they nurture it, they direct it with intention. And in doing so, they step into a life of abundance, a life in which financial expansion is not only possible but inevitable. Money is a mirror. It reflects the thoughts you hold, the beliefs you nurture, and the emotions you associate with wealth. Many believe that financial success is simply a matter of hard work or luck, but the truth runs much deeper. The way you think about money, the way you feel about it, and the way you expect it to behave in your life determine whether it flows toward you or away from you. The principle is simple. Your dominant mental state regarding money becomes the reality you experience. Most people live in a state of financial struggle because they have unknowingly conditioned themselves to expect it. They see money as something elusive, something that is always slipping through their fingers, something that is difficult to obtain and even harder to keep. And so, Because this is what they believe, their experiences align with their expectations. No matter how much they earn, it never seems to be enough. Unexpected expenses arise, opportunities for financial growth seem out of reach, and even when abundance appears, it quickly fades away. The financially successful operate from a different understanding. They do not chase money, nor do they feel anxious about it. They see money as an ever-flowing energy, something that moves easily and effortlessly through their lives. They do not view it as scarce or difficult to obtain. Instead, they cultivate a deep sense of financial ease, a state of mind where money is a natural and inevitable part of their experience. This is not merely a hopeful way of thinking, it is a fundamental principle of creation. What you assume to be true will always find a way to manifest in your life. To change your financial reality, you must first change your financial mindset. This means becoming deeply aware of the thoughts you entertain about money on a daily basis. When you think about wealth, do you feel excitement or fear? When you consider financial opportunities, do you feel possibility or limitation? When you see someone else experiencing financial success, do you feel inspired or envious? These emotions are not random. They are signposts that reveal the state of your financial consciousness. And as long as you operate from a mindset of scarcity, money will continue to be something that feels distant, something you must fight for, something that seems just out of reach. Shifting this mindset begins with redefining your relationship with money. Instead of seeing it as something separate from you, something outside of your control, recognize that money is simply an extension of your inner state. Just as a river naturally flows toward lower ground, money naturally flows toward those who expect and welcome it. This means removing any lingering resistance, any hidden beliefs that tell you wealth is difficult, that money is the root of problems, or that financial success is reserved for a select few. These beliefs are not truths. They are simply patterns that have been repeated so often that they have become ingrained. But they can be rewritten. One of the most powerful ways to shift your financial consciousness is to cultivate a deep sense of gratitude for money, regardless of how much or how little you currently have. Gratitude signals to the mind that you already possess abundance, and in doing so, it invites more of it into your experience. Every time you receive money, whether it is a paycheck, a small gift, or even a discount on something you are planning to buy, pause for a moment and acknowledge it with gratitude. Instead of focusing on what you lack, shift your attention to what you have. Instead of worrying about expenses, appreciate the fact that you have the means to pay for them. This simple shift in awareness begins to reprogram the mind, aligning it with the natural flow of financial abundance. Another key element of this shift is to develop a mindset of financial expansion rather than limitation. Many people hold themselves back from financial growth because they focus too much on conserving what they have rather than expanding it. They operate from a place of fear, believing that if they do not tightly control their money, it will disappear. But true wealth is not about hoarding. It is about circulating money in ways that generate even more. When you view money as something that multiplies rather than something that must be tightly held, you open yourself up to new opportunities for financial success. This does not mean spending recklessly or making financial decisions without thought. It means shifting from a mindset of scarcity to one of abundance. Instead of seeing money as something that must be stretched to cover expenses, begin to see it as something that is constantly replenished, something that moves effortlessly through your life. The wealthy do not stress over minor financial details because they trust in the continuous flow of abundance. They make financial decisions from a place of confidence rather than fear, and as a result, money continues to find its way to them. Another important aspect of financial consciousness is the way you speak about money. Words are powerful, and the way you talk about wealth directly influences the financial experiences you attract. If you constantly say things like, "I can't afford that," "money is tight," or "I never have enough," you reinforce the very conditions you want to escape. Instead, begin to speak the language of abundance. Replace limiting statements with empowering ones. Instead of saying, "I can't afford that," say, "I am choosing to prioritize my money for greater opportunities." Instead of saying, "Money is tight," say, "Money is always flowing to me in new and unexpected ways." Your words shape your reality, and when you speak from a place of financial abundance, you align yourself with it. The final key to shifting financial consciousness is to act as though wealth is already yours. This does not mean reckless spending or pretending to be rich when you are not. It means embodying the confidence, ease, and trust that those with financial abundance naturally possess. If you believe that money flows easily to you, your actions will reflect that belief. You will invest in opportunities that generate more wealth rather than spending impulsively. You will handle financial decisions with clarity rather than stress. You will trust in the natural movement of money rather than fearing its absence. By embodying this mindset, you begin to shift your financial reality from the inside out. Money is no longer something that feels elusive or stressful. It becomes something that naturally aligns with you. Opportunities begin to present themselves in ways you never expected. The financial burdens that once seemed overwhelming begin to ease. Instead of struggling for money, you begin to experience a sense of financial ease, a feeling that money is always there to support you. This transformation does not require external circumstances to change first. It does not require a higher paying job, a sudden windfall, or a change in economic conditions. It begins internally. The moment you shift your financial consciousness, your external reality begins to reflect that shift. Money is not something that must be chased. It is something that responds to your state of being. And when you align yourself with financial abundance, you open the doors to limitless wealth. Money is a tool, a form of energy that responds to the way you use it. Every financial decision you make carries an intention, a deeper meaning beyond the numbers on a bank statement. Some people believe that money is something to be spent freely, while others see it as something to be hoarded and protected. But true financial mastery comes from understanding that money, when used wisely, has the power to grow, to expand, and to create more opportunities for wealth. The way you manage your resources determines whether you remain stuck in a cycle of financial struggle or step into a life of true prosperity. One of the most significant differences between those who build wealth and those who remain financially stagnant is their ability to allocate money effectively. Those who struggle financially often spend their income on things that bring temporary pleasure but offer no long-term value. They prioritize comfort in the present over security in the future. They buy things to impress others, to feel successful in the moment, without considering how these purchases contribute to their long-term financial freedom. Their money is spent on liabilities, things that do not generate wealth, but instead take wealth away. The problem is not just in the spending itself, but in the way they view money. They see it as something to be used for consumption, rather than as a tool for expansion. The wealthy operate with a different mindset. They do not see money as something to be merely spent, but as something to be directed, something that works for them even when they are not working. They invest in assets, things that generate more wealth over time. Assets can take many forms: real estate, stocks, businesses, intellectual property, or anything that creates passive income. The difference between an asset and a liability is simple. An asset puts money in your pocket, while a liability takes money out. Those who build lasting wealth understand this distinction at a deep level. They do not allow their money to be wasted on things that do not serve their greater vision. Every dollar they earn is given a purpose, a role to play in building their financial future. There is a secret so profound, yet so simple, that those who grasp it hold the key to unlimited wealth. It is not found in laboring endlessly or in chasing after material gain. It is not in luck or external circumstances, but in the invisible force within you. You become rich the moment you recognize that wealth is not something outside of you to attain, but a state of being to assume. Your consciousness is the seed of all riches. If you see yourself as struggling, lacking, or unworthy, then the world merely reflects this belief back to you. But if you embody the feeling of already possessing great wealth, if you walk, talk, and think as one who is rich, then the world has no choice but to conform. The unseen shapes the seen, and your inner world gives birth to your outer reality. Do not seek riches. Instead, assume that you already possess them. Close your eyes and dwell in the sensation of abundance. Let it fill every fiber of your being. Feel the weight of money in your hands, the luxury of financial freedom, the ease with which opportunities flow. This is not pretending, this is creation in its purest form. The moment you persist in this assumption, wealth begins to take shape around you. It moves through channels unseen, through means unexpected, through people, circumstances, and events that align perfectly to bring forth what you have already claimed within. The great error of many is waiting for evidence before believing. But all wealth, all success, all abundance must first be claimed in imagination before it solidifies in form. Those who understand this truth do not look to their current bank accounts for confirmation. They look within. They feel rich before the riches appear. They trust the law that what is felt to be true in the mind must eventually be expressed in the world. Let the thought of wealth become natural to you. Let there be no resistance, no doubt, no fear of how it will happen. Simply dwell in the conviction that you are already rich, and the outer world must rearrange itself to match the inner state you have accepted as real. Wealth is not something separate from you, something to be chased, acquired, or struggled for. It is not outside of you, waiting for the right opportunity, the right connection, or the perfect moment. Wealth is a state of being, a condition of the mind, a vibration that must be assumed before it can be experienced in the physical world. The great misunderstanding of most people is the belief that money itself has power, that it is the cause of success, happiness, or freedom. But money is merely an effect, a reflection of the inner state that one holds. It follows the consciousness that assumes its presence. If a person believes they are lacking, struggling, or unworthy of abundance, the world simply mirrors this back to them. Every action they take, every opportunity that comes their way, and even the way others treat them will confirm their internal belief in scarcity. They may work harder, push further, or even find temporary gains, but the underlying belief will always return them to their dominant assumption of lack. Wealth cannot stay with those who believe it is separate from them, just as water cannot remain in a vessel full of holes. The truly rich, those who experience effortless abundance, who attract opportunities, who seem to have an ease with money, are not lucky, nor are they simply hard-working. They have assumed a state of wealth before any physical evidence appears. They have accepted the reality of abundance as natural to them, whether their bank account was full or empty, whether opportunities were present or absent. They held firm to the idea that they were already wealthy. This inner conviction is what shapes their reality. They do not seek wealth. They live as though they already have it, and the world responds accordingly. Consider the way a wealthy person moves, speaks, and thinks. They do not hesitate before making decisions. They do not worry about every financial detail. They act with confidence, with a sense of certainty that money will always be there. They expect success, and because they expect it, it becomes their experience. The one who assumes poverty expects obstacles, delays, and setbacks, and so they find them at every turn. This is the great secret. The state you hold within determines the life you live without. If you wish to experience financial abundance, you must first become it internally. This does not mean pretending or faking wealth in a superficial way. It means deeply aligning with the feeling of abundance. It means walking each day with the confidence that you are supported, that money flows to you easily, that opportunities seek you out. It means knowing with absolute certainty that prosperity is not something to earn, but something to accept. This is the law that governs all manifestations in life. The outer world does not create the inner state. It is the inner state that gives rise to the outer experience. When a person clings to the idea that they will be wealthy one day, they are affirming over and over that today they are not. And because the present moment is all that exists, they remain in a perpetual state of one day, never fully stepping into the reality of wealth. But the one who assumes wealth now, who feels the energy of abundance before the physical proof appears, has already claimed it. The world has no choice but to reflect it back. There is no need to force, struggle, or grasp at money. It is not something to chase, it is something to align with. Imagine a radio station broadcasting a signal. If you wish to hear the music, you do not beg the station to change its frequency to match yours. You simply tune yourself to the correct frequency and the music flows effortlessly. In the same way, wealth is a frequency, a state of mind that you can tune into at any moment. Once you hold the frequency of abundance, money, opportunities, and success naturally come to you without strain or resistance. Many people make the mistake of focusing only on actions, believing that working harder, saving more, or finding better opportunities is the key to wealth. But action, without the proper state of being, is like rowing a boat against the current. It may create temporary results, but it does not lead to lasting abundance. The one who has assumed the state of wealth moves with the current, allowing money to flow to them rather than forcing it into existence. They act, but their action is inspired, effortless, and aligned with the belief that wealth is already theirs. If you wish to be rich, start now, not by waiting for external proof, but by shifting the way you see yourself. See yourself as abundant. Feel the ease of financial security. Walk as one who is prosperous. Let wealth be natural to you, a given, an expectation. If you can hold this state, the world will rearrange itself to match it. Money will come, doors will open, and circumstances will align, not because you fought for them, but because you became the person to whom wealth naturally flowed. Your consciousness is the creator of your reality. Every experience, every circumstance, and every condition in your life is a reflection of the state you hold within. The outer world does not determine your inner state. It is your inner state that dictates what you see, what you experience, and what opportunities flow to you. If you believe yourself to be wealthy, to be abundant, to be a magnet for prosperity, then that belief becomes the organizing principle of your life. If you see yourself as struggling, lacking, or financially insecure, then the world will mirror that assumption back to you. The world is not happening to you, it is responding to you. The misconception that wealth is something external, something separate from you, is the reason so many people struggle. They believe they must work harder, chase opportunities, or find the perfect conditions before they can feel rich. But this approach is backwards. Wealth does not come from external effort alone. It comes from the consciousness that already assumes it to be true. The moment you accept the feeling of financial abundance as your own, the conditions necessary to support that belief begin to take shape. The world conforms to your state of being, not the other way around. Most people look at their current financial situation and allow it to dictate how they feel. If they see a low bank balance, they feel poor. If they see unexpected bills, they feel overwhelmed. If they are denied an opportunity, they feel rejected. But this reaction only reinforces the very circumstances they wish to change. The key to transformation is to break the cycle, to stop allowing external conditions to shape internal states. The wealthy person does not wait for evidence before feeling rich. They feel rich first, and the evidence follows. This is how reality works. Your consciousness is always creating, whether you are aware of it or not. The world is nothing more than a mirror reflecting back to you the assumptions you hold. If you assume wealth, the mirror will show you wealth. If you assume struggle, the mirror will confirm struggle. There is no exception to this law. It is not about luck, fate, or external circumstances. It is about the image you hold of yourself and the emotions you dwell in daily. The moment you shift your inner state, the outer world must shift in response. Many people say they want to be rich, but deep down they do not truly believe it is possible for them. They may speak of abundance, but their dominant thoughts are of lack. They may desire wealth, but their emotions are filled with worry, fear, and doubt. This contradiction keeps them stuck. The secret is to embody the feeling of wealth completely, to assume it so naturally that it becomes who you are, not something you are reaching for. The mind does not distinguish between what is real and what is imagined. If you can consistently dwell in the state of financial abundance, your external world will be forced to adjust accordingly. Think of a thermostat. If a room is set to a certain temperature, the thermostat will regulate the environment to match that setting. If the temperature drops too low, the system works to bring it back up. If it gets too high, the system cools it down. Your consciousness operates in the same way. If you have subconsciously set your financial thermostat to a state of lack, no matter how much money you acquire, your circumstances will adjust to return you to your dominant state. This is why many who suddenly receive large sums of money, whether through inheritance, lottery winnings, or unexpected financial gains, often find themselves back in the same financial position within a short time. Their internal state was never adjusted, so their outer reality reverted to match it. Let go of the idea that money is something separate from you, something that must be earned through struggle or sacrifice. Instead, see it as an extension of your state of being. Just as your relationships, health, and experiences reflect your internal world, so does your financial reality. If you hold on to scarcity, no amount of external effort will create lasting wealth. But if you assume abundance now, if you make it your natural state, then nothing can keep it from you. The world must conform to the consciousness you hold. Everything you see in your life is a result of your dominant state of consciousness. The money in your account, the opportunities you attract, the level of success you experience, these are all reflections of the inner state you habitually occupy. If you wish to change your financial reality, you must change the way you see yourself in relation to money. You must stop identifying with lack and begin to embody the identity of a person who is already wealthy. It is not about pretending or forcing anything. It is about fully assuming the feeling of financial abundance as your natural state of being. When you look at truly wealthy individuals, you will notice that their confidence in money is absolute. They do not worry about where it will come from. They do not fear losing it. They operate from the assumption that money is always available to them, that opportunities are always unfolding, that wealth is something natural and expected. This is why they remain wealthy. Their dominant state of being attracts and maintains financial abundance with ease. They are not waiting for proof before they believe. They believe first, and the proof follows. This is where most people struggle. They want to see external validation before they accept a new state of consciousness. They check their bank account, and if they see a low balance, they feel poor. They receive a bill they were not expecting, and they immediately return to a state of financial stress. They allow the outer world to dictate how they feel internally. But this approach is backwards. The outer world is nothing more than a reflection of the inner state. If you continue to react to external conditions as they are, you will only reinforce the very reality you wish to change. To truly shift into the consciousness of wealth, you must live from the assumption that you are already rich, regardless of what your current circumstances suggest. This does not mean reckless spending or ignoring financial responsibility. It means training yourself to think, feel, and act as a financially abundant person would. It means refusing to entertain thoughts of scarcity. It means rejecting worry and replacing it with the unshakable confidence that money is always flowing to you. It means carrying yourself with the certainty that abundance is yours. Most people attempt to create wealth by focusing on money itself. They chase income, seek financial strategies, and work harder, believing that more effort will lead to more wealth. While action is part of the process, it is not the foundation. The foundation is the identity you hold. If deep down you see yourself as someone who struggles financially, your actions will always be influenced by that belief. Even if you make more money, you will find ways to lose it, sabotage it, or feel that it is never enough. The subconscious patterns you carry will always override temporary gains. True transformation happens when you change your self-concept. If you begin to see yourself as someone who is naturally wealthy, who is always provided for, who attracts financial opportunities with ease, then your thoughts, emotions, and actions will align with that identity. You will no longer operate from fear, desperation, or lack. You will move with confidence, certainty, and trust. And because the outer world must always reflect your inner state, financial abundance will become your reality. This is why many people who come into sudden wealth, whether through inheritance, lottery winnings, or unexpected financial windfalls, often find themselves back in financial struggle within a few years. Their external circumstances changed, but their internal state remained the same. They still saw themselves as the same person, carrying the same beliefs about money, and so their reality had to adjust accordingly. Wealth is not sustained by external conditions. It is sustained by the consciousness that assumes it as natural. To embody financial abundance, begin by shifting the way you speak and think about money. Do you catch yourself saying, "I can't afford this, money is hard to come by," or "I never have enough"? Every word you speak reinforces a state of consciousness. If you want to live in wealth, your words must match that reality. Instead of speaking of lack, declare abundance. Money flows easily to me. I always have more than enough. Opportunities are constantly unfolding for me. These statements are not just affirmations, they are tools to rewire your subconscious mind and shift your identity. Beyond words, practice feeling financially abundant. Close your eyes and imagine yourself living in complete financial freedom. How does it feel? How do you carry yourself? What thoughts naturally arise when you know beyond any doubt that wealth is yours? The more you dwell in this state, the more natural it becomes. And as it becomes natural, the outer world must conform. Observe your emotions around money. Do you feel anxiety when thinking about bills? Do you feel guilt when spending? Do you feel undeserving of financial success? These emotions reveal deep-seated beliefs that must be transformed. A wealthy person does not fear expenses. They trust that money flows in greater measure. They do not feel guilt for spending. They understand that money is a tool meant to be used and circulated. They do not doubt their worthiness for success. They know that abundance is their birthright. The shift into financial abundance is not about working harder or chasing wealth. It is about becoming the person for whom wealth is inevitable. When you step into this identity, everything aligns in your favor. Ideas, opportunities, people, and circumstances begin to move in ways that support your assumption of wealth. This is not luck or coincidence. This is the law of consciousness in action. Your outer world must always reflect the reality you hold within. Many people resist this idea because they have been conditioned to believe that wealth comes only through external effort. They do not realize that effort without the proper state of consciousness is futile. They grind, struggle, and chase, yet financial freedom remains elusive. But those who master the inner world understand that when you assume the identity of wealth first, inspired action follows naturally. You no longer work out of desperation, but from alignment. The right decisions become clear, the right people appear, the right ideas flow effortlessly. It is not about waiting for circumstances to change before you feel wealthy. It is about changing how you feel now and allowing circumstances to shift in response. It is about stepping into the role of the financially abundant person today, not someday in the future. The moment you truly believe in your wealth, the world begins to arrange itself in ways you cannot yet see, bringing forth the very reality you have claimed within. Money is an idea, a form of energy that flows where it is invited and stays where it is welcomed. It is never about the physical bills or numbers in a bank account. It is about the consciousness that either attracts or repels it. Most people unknowingly push money away, not because they lack the ability to earn it, but because they hold deep-seated beliefs that conflict with the presence of wealth in their lives. If you truly desire to be rich, you must change your relationship with money at its core. You must learn to see it not as something separate from you, but as an extension of your state of being. Many struggle financially because they hold on to subconscious resistance against wealth. They may say they want more money, but deep down they have absorbed ideas that contradict that desire. Perhaps they were raised hearing phrases like money doesn't grow on trees, or rich people are greedy. Perhaps they were taught that wanting more is selfish, or that financial abundance is reserved for a select few. These ideas sink into the subconscious mind and create an invisible wall that keeps money at a distance. Even when opportunities for wealth arise, they unconsciously sabotage them because their internal belief system does not allow them to accept the idea of being truly rich. You must become aware of the thoughts and emotions that arise when you think about money. Do you feel unworthy of great wealth? Do you believe you must struggle before you can be financially free? Do you feel guilt when receiving large sums? These feelings are signs of limiting beliefs that must be dissolved. Money flows effortlessly to those who hold no resistance to it. It is not about deserving or proving your worth. It is about allowing yourself to be in harmony with the energy of abundance. The way you speak about money reveals your relationship with it. If you constantly say, "I can't afford this," you are reinforcing a state of lack. If you believe that money is hard to come by, that is exactly the reality you will continue to experience. The subconscious mind does not question. It simply accepts and manifests whatever you impress upon it. To change your financial reality, you must change the way you speak about money. Replace every thought of scarcity with thoughts of abundance. Instead of saying, "I never have enough," say, "Money is always flowing to me." Instead of saying, "I can't afford it," say, "I choose where my money goes." These are not just words. They are seeds planted into the subconscious mind, shaping your experience of wealth. More important than words, however, is the feeling behind them. The subconscious responds to feeling more than anything else. If you say, "I am rich," but internally feel doubt, fear, or lack, you are not truly aligning with abundance. You must feel wealth in every part of your being before it can manifest in your world. Close your eyes and imagine yourself in complete financial freedom. Picture yourself spending without worry, investing with confidence, giving generously. How does it feel? How do you walk, speak, and think in that state? The more you dwell in the feeling of abundance, the more it solidifies in your subconscious, and the external world will shift to match that inner reality. One of the greatest blocks to financial success is the feeling of guilt or unworthiness. Many people believe that having more means taking from others. They fear that becoming rich will change them or that others will judge them. These beliefs create an inner conflict that keeps wealth from flowing. But money itself is neutral. It has no morality, no agenda. It simply amplifies who you are. If you are a generous person, more money allows you to give more. If you are a creator, more money allows you to build more. When you understand that wealth is not about greed but about expansion, you release the guilt that keeps it at bay. Another way to shift your financial consciousness is to become comfortable with wealth. Many people unconsciously reject money because they are not used to it. They feel uncomfortable in luxury, they hesitate to accept financial blessings, and they shy away from the idea of being truly rich. If you want to attract wealth, you must normalize it in your mind. Surround yourself with images of abundance. Walk into high-accent stores without feeling out of place. Imagine yourself living the life you desire, not as a fantasy, but as an inevitability. The more you accept wealth as your natural state, the easier it flows to you. Your financial reality is not controlled by external forces, luck, or circumstances. It is shaped by your inner state. If you see money as something difficult to obtain, it will be. If you see wealth as something distant, it will remain so. But if you shift into the consciousness of financial ease, if you assume that money is always available to you, if you align with the energy of abundance, then the outer world will conform. Money will come not through struggle but through alignment. Opportunities will arise, not through effort, but through inspired action. Wealth will become your experience because it has first become your state of being. You do not need to chase money, you need to become the version of yourself who naturally attracts it. This is not about luck, nor is it about force. It is about shifting into a state of consciousness where financial abundance is assumed, accepted, and expected. When you let go of limiting beliefs, when you speak, think, and feel in alignment with wealth, when you remove guilt and embrace the natural flow of money, you become an open channel for financial success. The world cannot help but reflect the state you choose to occupy. Wealth is not outside of you, it is within you, waiting for you to claim it. The mind is the birthplace of all wealth. Every fortune that has ever been built, every empire that has ever risen, every success story that has ever been told, each of them began as an idea, a vision held firmly in the mind of an individual who refused to accept anything less than its full realization. Wealth does not start in the hands. It starts in the consciousness. The way you think, the way you feel, and the way you imagine determines the financial reality you experience. Most people look at their current circumstances and believe that what they see is all there is. They believe that their bank balance, their job, their financial struggles define what is possible for them. But nothing could be further from the truth. The external world is simply a reflection of past thinking. The reality you are living today is the result of the beliefs, assumptions, and thoughts you have entertained over time. If you want to change your financial condition, you must first change the mental patterns that created it. The power to create wealth lies in the ability to see beyond what is, to imagine what could be, and to hold that vision so vividly that it becomes more real to you than the physical world. The subconscious mind does not differentiate between what is real and what is imagined. It simply accepts whatever is impressed upon it. If you constantly see yourself as struggling, as barely making ends meet, as someone who is just getting by, then that is exactly the experience your subconscious will continue to create. But if you begin to see yourself as wealthy, if you begin to think, act, and feel as though financial abundance is already yours, then your subconscious must bring that into your reality. Imagination is not a passive daydream. It is the blueprint of your future. Whatever you vividly and consistently imagine with feeling will solidify into your world. If you see yourself living in prosperity, if you mentally walk through the experiences of wealth, if you feel the excitement, confidence, and freedom that comes with financial abundance, then you are shifting your consciousness into alignment with that reality. The world outside will eventually conform to match the inner picture you hold. There is no need to force, to struggle, or to worry about how the money will come. The how is not your concern. The subconscious mind takes care of that. Your only job is to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, to live in the certainty that what you have imagined is already yours, and to trust that life will rearrange itself to make it so. You do not need to chase money. You need to become the person who naturally attracts it. Think of a radio. It does not create the music. It simply tunes into a specific frequency and the sound appears. Your consciousness works the same way. When you tune into the frequency of lack, when you dwell in thoughts of scarcity, worry, and fear, then your external world reflects that vibration. But when you tune into the frequency of wealth, when you assume abundance, when you feel prosperous, when you believe that money is constantly flowing to you, then your reality must shift to match that state. The key is to persist. Many people try to think positively about money for a few days, but when they do not see immediate results, they fall back into doubt, fear, and frustration. This is where most fail. They do not persist long enough for their new mental state to take root. The subconscious mind does not respond to fleeting thoughts. It responds to deeply held beliefs. It takes time to recondition the mind to uproot old patterns of lack and replace them with a firm conviction of abundance. But the moment you persist long enough for your new financial self-image to become dominant, the outer world will have no choice but to reflect it. There is an effortless quality to wealth when it is created from within. Those who struggle for money, who chase it, who constantly worry about it, are unknowingly pushing it away. They are operating from a state of lack, and lack only creates more lack. But those who assume wealth, who walk in the feeling of financial ease, who see money as a natural part of their experience, find that it flows to them effortlessly. They do not need to force opportunities, they attract them. They do not need to work endlessly, they take inspired action that yields far greater results. They do not live in fear of losing money, because they understand that wealth is not something outside of them. It is an extension of their state of being. You must train yourself to feel wealthy before the evidence appears. Most people wait for external proof before they allow themselves to believe, but that is not how reality works. Reality mirrors belief. If you wait for money to arrive before you feel abundant, you will always be waiting. But if you choose to feel abundant now, if you walk in the conviction that wealth is already yours, then life will rush to prove you right. To begin to act as though you are already rich. This does not mean reckless spending. It means embodying the mindset of financial ease. How does a wealthy person think? How do they speak? How do they move through life? Do they constantly check their bank balance in fear? Do they make decisions from a place of scarcity? Or do they carry themselves with confidence, knowing that money is always available to them? If you begin to adopt these mental habits now, your reality will soon reflect them. There is no financial condition that cannot be changed, no situation so dire that it cannot be turned around. The moment you shift your consciousness, you shift your world. Do not allow the current state of your finances to dictate what is possible for you. Your present reality is simply a shadow of past thoughts. It has no power over what comes next. From this moment forward, decide that you are wealthy, assume it, feel it. Live in the certainty that money is always flowing to you. And as you persist in that state, your world will begin to rearrange itself to reflect your new financial reality. Money flows to those who expect it, those who assume its presence as naturally as they assume the air they breathe. There is no struggle to inhale, no fear of running out of oxygen. There is only the effortless act of receiving. Wealth functions in the same way. It is not something to be chased, not something outside of you to be acquired through force or strain. It is a state of being, a frequency that you tune into, a consciousness that you embody. The moment you internalize this truth, money begins to appear in your life in ways that seem almost magical. Most people live in a state of resistance when it comes to money. They worry about it, they resent those who have it, they fear losing what little they do possess. But wealth cannot enter where there is tension. It cannot flow freely into hands that are clenched in desperation. If you hold on to financial anxiety, if you believe that money is difficult to obtain, if you constantly think in terms of limitations, then you are unknowingly blocking the very thing you desire. The key to unlocking abundance is to release resistance, to let go of the struggle, and to assume a natural, effortless relationship with wealth. Imagine a river flowing freely, unobstructed, moving with ease and grace. This is how money is meant to function in your life. But when you build mental dams of worry, fear, and scarcity, you disrupt the flow. You create blockages that prevent financial prosperity from reaching you. The only way to restore the natural movement of abundance is to dismantle these mental barriers, to replace them with an unwavering sense of financial ease. Many people believe that in order to have more, they must do more. They associate wealth with relentless effort, with working long hours, with sacrificing joy for the sake of financial security. But true abundance does not come from struggle. It comes from alignment. It comes from stepping into a state where money is a natural extension of who you are, where financial prosperity is not something you must earn, but something that simply flows to you because you expect it to. Expectation is the most powerful force in creation. You do not receive what you want, you receive what you expect. If deep down you believe that wealth is out of reach, that you are destined to struggle, that you will always have to work hard just to get by, then no amount of effort will change your financial reality. But if you shift your expectation, if you begin to assume that money is always coming to you, that opportunities are abundant, that wealth is a natural part of your life, then reality must conform to that belief. The subconscious mind is always listening, always responding to the instructions you give it. If you tell yourself that making money is difficult, that financial success is reserved for others, that you will never truly be rich, then your subconscious will take those statements as absolute truth and shape your world accordingly. But if you begin to speak a different language, if you affirm to yourself that wealth flows easily, that you are always in the right place at the right time, that money is drawn to you effortlessly, then your subconscious will accept those truths and rearrange your reality to match them. The wealth you seek is already yours. It exists not in some distant future, but in the now, waiting for you to claim it. The key is not to chase, not to struggle, but to assume its reality within. Everything in this world is a reflection of your inner state. If you persist in seeing yourself as lacking, as struggling, as waiting for wealth to arrive, then life will mirror that belief back to you. But the moment you shift, and you dare to believe that you already are the person who possesses abundance, you open the door for wealth to flow effortlessly into your life. Time is not your enemy. Time is simply a bridge that connects your inner conviction to your outer reality. When you plant a seed in the ground, you do not dig it up every day to check if it is growing. You trust that nature will unfold in perfect order. The same is true for your desires. Your assumption held with unwavering faith will harden into fact. Do not allow doubt to creep in. Do not let the opinions of others shake your faith. Wealth comes not when you beg for it, not when you fear its absence, but when you rest in the knowing that it is already yours. You must live from the end. Feel now what it would be like to have the abundance you seek. Walk, talk, and think as the one who already has it, and the world will rearrange itself to reflect your assumption. You do not need to force anything. Wealth is not something to be chased. It is something to be accepted. The right time is not some distant moment in the future. It is the moment you align your consciousness with the reality of abundance. That moment can be now. Believe it, feel it, live it, and the wealth you seek will come to you in ways beyond your comprehension, at the perfect time, effortlessly. Wealth is not something separate from you, something outside of you that you must chase, struggle for, or desperately seek. It is already yours. It exists within you as a state of consciousness, waiting for you to accept it, to embody it, and to allow it to manifest in your external world. The greatest illusion is the belief that wealth is something distant, something that must be earned through suffering or acquired through luck. But the truth is much simpler. Your assumption creates your reality. And when you assume yourself to be wealthy, the world has no choice but to reflect that assumption back to you. There is no external force withholding abundance from you. There is no divine punishment, no cosmic test, no predetermined fate keeping you from wealth. The only thing standing between you and the financial abundance you desire is the belief that it is separate from you. The moment you let go of this illusion, the moment you embrace the knowing that wealth is your natural state, it begins to flow into your life effortlessly. This is the secret that many overlook. You do not have to chase wealth, you have to become it. You must embody the feeling of already having it. When you feel wealthy within, you will see the evidence of wealth around you. Your mind is the creative power behind your experience. If you persist in believing that wealth is difficult to attain, that it requires endless effort and struggle, then that is the reality you will create. If you constantly tell yourself that money is scarce, that you never have enough, that you must work harder and harder to survive, then your subconscious will accept these beliefs as truth and your outer world will conform accordingly. But if you shift your inner state, if you begin to see yourself as someone who naturally attracts money, who lives in financial ease, who always has more than enough, then your external world will change to reflect this new self-concept. The wealth you desire is already here, waiting for you to claim it by assuming its reality. This is not about wishful thinking or empty affirmations. It is about a deep inner conviction, a knowing that transcends logic and appearances. When you look at your current financial situation, it may not yet reflect the abundance you seek, but you must not allow your present circumstances to dictate your beliefs. Your current reality is simply a reflection of your past assumptions, a manifestation of old beliefs that no longer serve you. The key is to stop reacting to what is, and instead focus on what you desire, as if it is already yours. Imagine for a moment that you are already wealthy. Close your eyes and feel it. How does it feel to have financial freedom? To know that you have more than enough to support yourself and those you love. To wake up each day without stress, without worry, knowing that wealth flows to you effortlessly. Hold on to that feeling. Let it fill you completely. This is the state of being that will draw wealth into your life. It is not enough to think about wealth. You must feel it, embody it, live in the end result. There is no need to force anything, no need to struggle or overanalyze how wealth will come to you. The moment you assume the state of wealth, life begins to move in ways you cannot predict. Opportunities appear, doors open, people enter your life who can assist you, and financial abundance flows in ways you never expected. But all of this happens as a result of your inner shift, not through effort or force. The external world is simply a mirror reflecting your state of being. When you feel wealthy within, the outer world will conform to match that feeling. Doubt is the only thing that can block this process. If you affirm wealth but secretly believe that it is impossible for you, if you constantly check for signs and worry about whether it is working, you are contradicting your assumption. You cannot serve two masters. You cannot hold both faith and doubt at the same time. You must decide with absolute certainty that you are wealthy now. Not tomorrow, not someday, but now. When you hold on to this inner knowing, reality has no choice but to shift in your favor. Think of wealth as a frequency, a vibration that you tune into. When you tune into lack, you attract more lack. When you tune into abundance, you attract more abundance. This is not about working harder or doing more. It is about being in alignment with the frequency of wealth. If you were already wealthy, how would you think? How would you feel? How would you behave? Begin acting from that place now, and the outer world will adjust accordingly. Many people believe that wealth is reserved for a select few, that it is only attainable through luck or privilege. But this is a limiting belief, and like all beliefs, it can be changed. The truth is, wealth is an energy, and energy is abundant. There is no shortage of money in this world. The only shortage exists in the minds of those who believe in lack. When you shift your mindset from scarcity to abundance, you open yourself up to receive all that is already available to you. Do not look to the world for validation. The world will always reflect your past beliefs. And if you seek proof before you believe, you will only see more of what you already assume to be true. Instead, create the proof within yourself first. Feel wealthy before you see the evidence, and the evidence will come. This is not about pretending or deceiving yourself. It is about recognizing that your assumptions shape your reality. If you assume wealth, wealth must come. If you assume lack, lack will persist. You are always creating, always manifesting, whether you realize it or not. The question is, what are you creating? Start today. Begin shifting your inner state. Each time you catch yourself thinking thoughts of lack, replace them with thoughts of abundance. Each time you feel doubt creeping in, remind yourself that wealth is already yours. The more you persist in this new assumption, the faster it will solidify into your reality. Wealth is not something you acquire, it is something you tune into. It is not outside of you, it is within you. The moment you realize this, the moment you truly accept it, you will see the evidence of your assumption unfold in your life in ways that seem almost magical. But it is not magic, it is simply the law at work, the natural unfolding of consciousness into form. You do not need to seek wealth. You only need to accept that you already have it. When you embody this truth, when you make it a living reality in your mind, wealth will come to you effortlessly, at the perfect time, in the perfect way. Let go of struggle, let go of doubt. Assume the feeling of wealth now, and watch as life rearranges itself to match your assumption. It is already done. Wealth is already yours. Doubt and fear are the only obstacles to this process. If you waver in your belief, if you allow yourself to be swayed by appearances, if you let the outside world dictate your inner state, you will remain stuck in the same patterns. But the moment you decide, truly decide, that wealth is your reality, that abundance is your birthright, that financial freedom is already yours, everything begins to shift. You will notice changes in the way people respond to you, in the opportunities that come your way, in the ease with which money flows into your life. And once you see this law in action, you will never doubt again. This is why wealth is not a matter of luck or privilege. It is a matter of consciousness. The wealth you desire is not outside of you, waiting to be earned or granted. It is within you, waiting to be realized. When you accept this truth, when you embody the feeling of already having what you desire, you unlock the door to infinite abundance. Nothing in your external world is set in stone. Everything is fluid, shaped by your assumptions. You hold the power to create the life you desire by choosing the thoughts you dwell upon, the beliefs you nurture, and the feelings you cultivate within. The wealth you seek is already here, already yours. The moment you shift your inner state, the world will mirror it back to you, and abundance will flow effortlessly into your life. The power of assumption is the foundation of everything you experience in life. Whatever you assume to be true, whether consciously or unconsciously, will inevitably shape your reality. Your mind is the creative force behind every event, every circumstance, and every opportunity that comes your way. The world does not act independently of you. Rather, it conforms to the dominant beliefs you hold within. The key to attracting wealth or anything else you desire lies in mastering the art of assumption. Most people live their lives reacting to what they see, assuming that their current conditions dictate their future. They look at their bank account, at their financial struggles, and believe that what they see now determines what is possible for them. But this is not the way creation works. The external world is merely an echo of the internal world, a reflection of the state of consciousness you hold. If you want to experience wealth, you must first assume the feeling of wealth. You must live in the conviction that abundance is already yours, even before the physical evidence appears. This is not about wishful thinking or pretending. It is about stepping into the reality you desire and making it your truth before the world has had a chance to reflect it back to you. When you assume something to be true with unwavering certainty, reality has no choice but to shape itself accordingly. Your subconscious mind, which governs the unfolding of your life, will accept whatever you impress upon it. If you consistently assume yourself to be wealthy, if you feel the reality of abundance deep within you, your subconscious mind will orchestrate the events, people, and opportunities necessary to make that assumption a fact. Consider the way the mind works when it comes to self-concept. A person who assumes themselves to be confident walks and speaks with certainty. They do not need external validation to prove their confidence because it is something they already believe about themselves. The world in turn responds to them as a confident individual. People respect them, listen to them, and treat them as someone who possesses authority. On the other hand, a person who assumes themselves to be unworthy will carry themselves with hesitation. and the world will reflect that assumption back to them in the form of rejection and struggle. The same principle applies to wealth. If you assume yourself to be wealthy, to be someone who naturally attracts prosperity, you will begin to move through life with the energy of abundance. Your thoughts, emotions, and actions will align with that assumption, and the world will follow suit. You will find yourself in situations that bring financial growth, encountering the right people at the right time, receiving unexpected opportunities that move you closer to your goal. This is why many people who struggle financially remain stuck in a cycle of lack. They continue to assume scarcity, constantly worrying about money, reinforcing the belief that wealth is difficult to attain. Their dominant state of consciousness is one of fear and limitation, and the world simply reflects that back to them. They do not realize that they have the power to change their financial situation by first changing the way they think and feel about money. Assuming wealth is not about waiting for money to appear before you feel abundant. It is about embodying the energy of prosperity now. It is about shifting your state of being so completely that the world has no choice but to conform to your new belief. When you assume yourself to be wealthy, you stop doubting, you stop seeking validation, and you stop allowing temporary conditions to define your future. You move through life with the certainty that abundance is yours, and that certainty is what draws wealth to you. Every great success story follows this principle. The most successful people in the world did not wait for external evidence before they believed in their success. They assumed it long before it materialized. They carried themselves as though their vision was already a reality. And in doing so, they aligned themselves with the opportunities, ideas, and circumstances that brought their dreams to life. The wealth you see in the world today was first created in the minds of those who assumed it before it ever appeared in their hands. This is why it is crucial to guard your thoughts and assumptions. Every moment you are either assuming abundance or assuming lack. There is no in between. If you constantly tell yourself that money is hard to come by, that you are struggling, that you are stuck, then you are reinforcing a reality of financial difficulty. But if you shift your assumption, if you begin to see yourself as someone who is already financially free, who naturally attracts prosperity, who lives in ease and abundance, then your outer world will transform accordingly. Doubt is the only thing that can interfere with this process. The moment you assume wealth but then let doubt creep in, questioning whether it is truly possible, you disrupt the creative process. This is why unwavering faith is essential. You must persist in the assumption of wealth, even when the external world has not yet caught up. You must live in the conviction that what you have assumed is already a fact, even if your physical reality has yet to reflect it. Faith in your assumption is what accelerates manifestation. The more you dwell in the feeling of already having what you desire, the faster it must come to you. There is no randomness in this process. It is governed by law, just as gravity is a law. The moment you fully assume yourself to be wealthy, without contradiction, the external world begins to shift in ways beyond your comprehension to bring that assumption into form. Many people struggle with this concept because they have been conditioned to believe that wealth is something that must be earned through struggle and hardship. They have been taught that money comes only through effort and external action. But effort alone does not create wealth. Consciousness does. The most successful individuals in history did not create their fortunes through mere labor. They did so by first aligning their minds with the reality they desired. Their belief in their wealth came before the wealth itself. This is the secret that separates those who manifest abundance with ease from those who struggle their entire lives. It is not about luck, external circumstances, or even intelligence. It is about assumption. If you can assume yourself to be wealthy, to be someone for whom financial success is inevitable, then you will naturally move in ways that lead you to that reality. Your thoughts will align with wealth, your actions will reflect abundance, and the world will mirror your new state of being. You do not need to see the path in order to believe in the outcome. You do not need to know exactly how wealth will come to you. Your only responsibility is to assume the state of wealth so completely that doubt becomes impossible. When you do this, the details will take care of themselves. The right opportunities will appear, doors will open, and the resources you need will come to you effortlessly. There is no need to force anything. The moment you assume wealth, the creative power within you begins working on your behalf. The universe is always responding to your dominant assumption, rearranging circumstances in ways beyond your current understanding. When you fully accept that wealth is already yours, when you no longer seek it but simply know it to be your reality, then it must manifest. This is not a matter of external validation or proof. It is a matter of knowing. When you live in the assumption of wealth, when you carry yourself with the certainty that abundance is your natural state, the world will have no choice but to reflect it back to you. Everything begins within. The wealth you desire is already here, waiting for you to claim it through the power of assumption. The moment you shift your belief, the moment you accept that you are already wealthy, the world will reshape itself to match your inner conviction. This is not about pretending or engaging in empty positive thinking. It is about shifting your state of consciousness so deeply that wealth becomes a natural and effortless part of your identity. Consider how a person who is naturally wealthy carries themselves. They do not constantly worry about money or stress about how they will afford things. They operate from a deep inner knowing that they are taken care of, that opportunities are always available, that money flows to them easily. They feel secure, at peace, and confident in their financial well-being. This feeling is the key. It is not money itself that makes them feel this way, but rather their inner conviction that wealth is already theirs. To manifest wealth, you must begin by cultivating this feeling within yourself. You must ask yourself, how would I feel if I were already financially abundant? How would I walk, talk, and move through the world? What emotions would fill me if I truly believed that money was always flowing to me? And once you have found that feeling, you must embody it every single day, regardless of what your current circumstances appear to be. You must make the feeling of wealth your new normal. When you consistently dwell in this state, when you refuse to let doubt shake you, the world must rearrange itself to match your inner conviction. Many people believe that hard work and effort are the primary drivers of wealth. While action is important, it is not the source of abundance. Your state of being is. If effort alone created financial success, then the hardest working people in the world would be the richest. But we know this is not the case. Some struggle endlessly, working long hours, sacrificing their well-being, yet never achieving financial freedom. Meanwhile, others seem to attract wealth effortlessly, without strain or excessive labor. The difference lies in their internal state. The ones who attract money with ease feel wealthy before the money arrives. They have trained their minds to dwell in abundance rather than lack, and as a result, money flows to them in ways they could not have planned or predicted. This is why trying to force wealth through struggle and effort often leads to frustration. When you act from a place of desperation or lack, you reinforce the idea that money is scarce and difficult to obtain. Your energy carries the vibration of struggle, and the world reflects that back to you. But when you move through life with the energy of someone who already has more than enough, when you take inspired action from a place of confidence and certainty, the results are entirely different. Opportunities appear effortlessly, doors open, and financial breakthroughs occur in ways that seem almost miraculous. Wealth is not something outside of you waiting to be earned or discovered. It is something that already exists within you, waiting to be realized. When you shift your focus from seeking wealth to feeling wealthy now, everything begins to change. The way you carry yourself changes, the way you speak about money changes, the way you interact with opportunities changes, and because your internal world shifts, your external world must follow. One of the most effective ways to cultivate the feeling of wealth is through imagination. Your subconscious mind does not distinguish between what is real and what is vividly imagined. If you repeatedly immerse yourself in the experience of financial abundance in your mind, your subconscious will accept it as truth. Close your eyes and picture yourself living your ideal financial life. See yourself with more money than you could ever need, experiencing the freedom, security, and joy that come with financial ease. Feel the emotions of gratitude and confidence as if it were already done. The more real this experience becomes in your imagination, the more quickly it will manifest in your physical reality. Another powerful method is to embody wealth in your daily life even before the money appears. This does not mean reckless spending or pretending to have money you do not yet possess. It means carrying yourself with the confidence and certainty of someone who knows they are financially free. It means shifting your language, eliminating words like, "I can't afford that," or "money is always a problem for me," and replacing them with affirmations of abundance. It means expressing gratitude for the wealth you already have, no matter how small, because gratitude amplifies abundance. Your assumptions about money shape your reality. If you assume that wealth is difficult to attain, it will be. If you assume that money comes only through struggle, then that will be your experience. But if you assume that you are already wealthy, that financial ease is your birthright, then the universe will confirm that assumption. You are always living out your most dominant beliefs, whether you realize it or not. The key is to take conscious control of those beliefs, to choose wealth as your inner reality, knowing that the outer world must conform. Doubt is the greatest obstacle to this process. The moment you begin to feel wealthy within, your logical mind may try to convince you otherwise. It may remind you of your current financial struggles, of past failures, of the limitations you believe exist. But these are merely old thought patterns, reflections of past conditioning. They have no power unless you give them power. You must persist in the feeling of wealth, even when the world has not yet caught up. You must remain unwavering in your inner knowing that abundance is already yours, no matter what external appearances suggest. Faith in the unseen is what bridges the gap between desire and manifestation. You do not need to know how wealth will come to you. You do not need to figure out every step in advance. Your only task is to embody the feeling of financial freedom so completely that the universe has no choice but to bring it into form. Money is simply energy, and it flows naturally to those who are aligned with it. When you let go of resistance, when you stop worrying about the details, when you trust that wealth is already yours, the path reveals itself effortlessly. This is not theory or wishful thinking, it is a law of consciousness. The world you experience is nothing more than a projection of your dominant state of being. Change your inner world, and your outer world must change in response. Feel wealthy now, in this moment, and wealth will come to you in ways you never imagined. It is already within you, waiting to be claimed. The moment you accept it as your reality, it must become your experience. Time is never the obstacle to your wealth. The idea that wealth is something distant, something that requires years of effort or some perfect set of conditions, is an illusion. Wealth exists in the eternal present, always accessible, always waiting for you to claim it. The only thing standing between you and the experience of wealth is your state of being, your beliefs, your emotions, your awareness. You do not need to wait for the right time to be wealthy. You need only align yourself with the feeling of abundance now. Most people believe that money will come to them when they have worked long enough, struggled hard enough, or found the perfect opportunity. They see wealth as something external, something that happens to them, rather than something that emerges from within. This belief places wealth in the future, always just out of reach, always dependent on something outside of themselves. But wealth is not created by time, it is created by consciousness. The moment you fully accept the idea that you are already wealthy, that financial ease is your natural state, time becomes irrelevant. The conditions you once thought necessary for wealth begin to shift in your favor. Opportunities arise seemingly out of nowhere. Ideas flow effortlessly, and doors open where none existed before. This is not coincidence. Many people delay their wealth by constantly looking toward the future. They say, "One day I'll be rich," or "Someday the right opportunity will come." But when you place wealth in the future, you are affirming that it is not yours now. And because the present moment is the only place where creation happens, you are unknowingly keeping wealth at a distance. The subconscious mind only understands now. It does not recognize someday or in the future. If you wish to be wealthy, you must feel wealthy now. Not tomorrow, not next year, now. This is the great secret. What you assume to be true in this moment becomes your reality. If you assume wealth is always in the future, it will remain in the future. If you assume it is yours now, life will organize itself to confirm that assumption. This is why some people struggle for years, believing they must earn their wealth through endless effort, while others seem to attract money effortlessly. The difference is not in their level of skill or intelligence. The difference is in their consciousness. One is waiting for wealth, the other is living it now. One is seeing money as something external and separate, while the other has embodied it as their present reality. When you stop waiting for wealth and start feeling it now, you collapse the illusion of time. You no longer need to wait for the perfect circumstances, because you realize that wealth is already here, already flowing through you. Most people live by external evidence. They look at their bank account, their debts, their financial struggles, and they say, "This is my reality." They react to what is, never realizing that what is has been created by past assumptions. If they have spent years believing that money is difficult to obtain, then naturally their present circumstances reflect that belief. But the moment they change their state of mind, the future begins to change. External evidence should never dictate your internal state. Instead, your internal state should dictate external evidence. When you hold firm to the feeling of wealth, when you refuse to be swayed by what the outer world currently shows, reality must shift to match your inner conviction. Some people argue that they cannot feel wealthy because their circumstances do not allow it. They say, "How can I feel abundant when I have no money?" But this thinking is backward. The external world is only a reflection of your past thoughts. If you continue to wait for wealth to appear before you feel it, you will always be waiting. The only way to change your external conditions is to change your internal state first. Feel wealthy now, before the money arrives, and it will come. Feel secure now, even if you have nothing, and security will manifest. Everything begins within. You do not need time to be wealthy. You do not need years of hard work or some perfect opportunity to appear. You need only to align yourself with the feeling of financial abundance now. When you do this, the illusion of time dissolves, and wealth begins to move toward you rapidly. The people, ideas, and opportunities that were once missing will appear effortlessly. What once seemed impossible will become natural and easy. You are not waiting for wealth. Wealth is waiting for you. The moment you step into the consciousness of abundance, you will see that it was never far away. It was always within you, ready to be expressed. Money flows to those who are open to receiving it. Wealth is not something you chase. It is something you allow. The more you grasp and strive for it, the more it seems to slip through your fingers. But the moment you relax into the knowing that money is already yours, that it is a natural extension of your being, it begins to flow effortlessly into your life. This is the secret most people overlook. They think they must work harder, push more, or do something extraordinary to deserve wealth. But true financial abundance is not a matter of effort. It is a matter of alignment. The universe operates on the principle of abundance. Just as nature effortlessly produces endless forests, rivers, and oceans, so too is money meant to flow freely and abundantly. Lack is not a law, it is a belief. It is a mindset, a conditioned way of seeing the world. Those who struggle with money do so not because they are less capable, but because they have been taught to believe in scarcity. They have absorbed the idea that money is limited, that wealth is only for a select few, or that they must earn every dollar through suffering. But none of this is true. Money is energy, and energy flows where it is welcomed.